All right, ready to dive in. Today we're taking a look at the market on January 14th, 2025. We'll break down the trends so you can feel confident navigating the financial world. We've got some exciting stuff and maybe a little risk too.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first up, the U.S. stock market. Looks like it's in a pretty good mood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, gains all over S&P 500, Dow Jones, Nasdaq. Even the Russell 2000 is up. But for someone who isn't like a total Wall Street expert, what does it all actually mean?
Well, it's a good sign for sure. You know, those gains usually mean investors are feeling good about things.
Right.
So when the S&P 500 is up, that's like tracking the 500 biggest U.S. companies. That usually means confidence in the whole economy. And then the Dow Jones, that's 30 big companies, similar idea. And then, of course, you got the Nasdaq. A lot of tech there shows strength in that sector. Even the Russell 2000, the smaller companies, that's up too. So that means that, you know, a lot more people are participating in the market.
So it sounds like things are looking pretty good then for the stock market. But let's move on to crypto, because that's where things are really heating up.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Well, Bitcoin has just blown past $98,000.
Wow.
And Ethereum is close behind over 3,300. So is this just like another one of those crypto roller coasters?
Yeah.
Or is there actually something more behind this surge?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Right.
Speculation is always going to be part of the crypto world.
For sure.
But there are some things happening here that are pretty fundamental. Like we're seeing more and more institutions adopting Bitcoin. Like even companies and governments are seeing what it could do.
Interesting.
And then Ethereum with its smart contracts, that's really fueling that whole decentralized finance movement.
Okay.
So it's not just hype, you know, this is like a real technology shift.
Wow, that's pretty big. I've also been seeing a lot of stuff about XRP.
Yeah.
It seems like it's having a really good time right now. It's gone above $3, an all-time high, and some people are saying it's going to go even higher than that. So what's going on with that surge?
Well, this is where like knowing a bit about technical analysis could help.
Okay.
Basically, it's looking at the price history and charts and trying to guess what the price will do in the future.
Right.
For XRP, things are looking good. Like those technical indicators, they're pointing up, which attracts people who think it'll keep climbing. But of course, with any investment, and especially crypto, you got to be careful.
For sure, yeah. So we've got a strong stock market, and crypto is on fire. But before we get too carried away, there's kind of a big thing we should talk about: valuations.
Oh, yeah.
Some experts are saying that stocks are just getting way too expensive. They're pointing to the price-to-earnings ratio. That seems to be like a red flag.
Yeah, the PE ratio, it shows you how much investors are willing to pay for each dollar a company makes in profit.
Okay.
If it's high, it could mean people are optimistic about growth, or it could mean the market's getting ahead of itself.
Right.
Right now, the S&P 500's PE ratio is pretty high.
Right.
So some people are worried about a market correction.
A market correction. So
Yeah.
that's like the stock market's reality check.
Exactly. Not like a total crash or anything, but a pretty big drop in prices. It would bring valuations more in line with what companies are actually earning.
Okay.
It's definitely something investors got to keep in mind when they're thinking about risk.
Got it. So it sounds like it's good to just stay grounded with all this excitement going on. Let's take a look at some specific sectors now, starting with tech. AvePoint, they help businesses manage their IT. Just bought Ydentic. Seems like it's all about AI-powered cybersecurity.
Right. This just goes to show you how important cybersecurity is becoming.
Yeah.
Especially with cloud computing and AI being so big for businesses.
Right.
AvePoint is betting that AI can predict and stop cyber attacks. So this deal really makes sense for them.
It's crazy how much AI is a part of our lives already,
Totally.
and this just shows it's going to be even bigger.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, speaking of industries changing because of tech, there's this rumor that Tencent, the huge Chinese tech company, might be working with the Guillemot family, you know, the people behind Ubisoft, the gaming company.
Oh, wow. This could be big. What would that mean if they actually teamed up?
Well, Tencent is huge in mobile gaming, especially in China where there's a lot of money to be made.
Yeah.
And Ubisoft has all those popular games, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, you know.
Yeah, sure.
If they join forces,
Yeah,
they could really shake things up in the gaming world. Like they'd be a force to be reckoned with.
definitely. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. For now, though, let's switch over to energy.
Okay.
Amplify Energy is merging with some of Juniper Capital's assets, especially in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
They seem to be going for efficiency and scale in the energy world, which is changing a lot these days.
Yeah, this merger shows you the problems the energy industry is dealing with.
Yeah.
Oil prices are all over the place. Everyone's pushing for renewable energy, and then there's all the regulations. It's complicated. So Amplify Energy and Juniper Capital, they're combining their resources. That could help them weather the storm, so to speak.
It seems like a lot of sectors are seeing mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, now let's look at healthcare. Bristol Myers Squibb is going to release data from a trial for a new Alzheimer's drug. It's called Cobenfy. This could be huge, right?
Yeah, Alzheimer's is a massive problem.
Right.
So finding treatments is super important for the pharmaceutical industry. Bristol Myers Squibb is one of the leaders in that area.
Okay.
So when they release this data for Cobenfy, everyone's going to be watching closely.
I bet.
Investors, doctors, it could change a lot, both for the market and for the people who need this drug.
Yeah, a lot of hope riding on that.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about something that affects a lot of our listeners directly, Social Security.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like the cost of living adjustment, that's COLA, is expected to drop to 2.1% in 2026.
Okay.
That's down from 2.5% this year. It's the smallest increase we've seen since the pandemic started.
Right.
So what does that actually mean for people who are retired?
It's not good news, really, for people who depend on those benefits.
Right.
Basically, it means inflation's going to hit them harder, like their money won't go as far. It's a balancing act, Yeah.
Trying to make sure Social Security is sustainable, but also making sure retirees can actually afford to live.
Absolutely. So we've talked about a lot here. Market trends, crypto going crazy, mergers, and even the chance of a correction. I think it's a good time to just step back for a second.
Yeah, take it all in.
And really think about what it all means.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we'll do when we come back. Okay, so the big picture, it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day, the little ups and downs.
Oh, for sure.
But we need to understand those big trends that are shaping things.
Totally. It's like trying to navigate without a map.
Exactly.
So what are some of the main takeaways here?
Well, one of the things that really stands out is how connected everything is. Like, what happens in one market affects everything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're all in this together.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it, what happens in the U.S. stock market. That can totally change how investors feel in Europe and Asia.
Right. So it's like this big financial web.
Yeah.
So how does that play out in the real world? Okay, so let's take those high valuations in the U.S.
Okay.
Part of it is stuff happening in the U.S. economy, right?
Right.
But it also makes investors look for deals in other places.
I see.
So money could flow out of the U.S. and into other markets.
Yeah.
And that could push prices up in those places.
Okay, so it's like a seesaw. One market goes up, another goes down.
Kind of, yeah. And then we've got crypto, too. We can't forget about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's been huge.
It's changing everything. Institutional investors, the big guys who used to avoid it, they're getting interested. That's bringing a lot of money into crypto, which could lead to, more people using it.
So crypto isn't just for tech people anymore.
Not at all. It's becoming mainstream.
That's pretty wild. So what does that mean for regular investors?
It means you got to spread your bets. Diversification is key.
Yeah, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. The more complex things get, the more important it is to have investments in different areas.
Makes sense. Now, about those high valuations,
Yeah.
Some people are saying a correction is coming. What should investors look out for?
Okay, so there are a few warning signs. Interest rates going up, that can hurt company profits and make stock prices drop. Inflation, too, eats away at earnings and makes investors nervous. And then there's always global stuff. Politics, trade wars, things you can't predict.
Right, so it's not all sunshine and rainbows then.
No, definitely not. There are definitely some risks out there.
So are there any bright spots, like good opportunities for investors?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even with the risks, there's still growth happening, especially in tech, in healthcare.
Okay.
Companies that are leading the way in those areas are in a good position. Like we talked about AI-driven cybersecurity.
Right.
That's just one example.
AI seems to be everywhere these days.
It is, and it's not just hype.
Yeah.
AI is a game changer. Companies that use it right to innovate, be more efficient, create new things, they're going to win. Investors need to pay attention to that.
So AI isn't just science fiction anymore.
No way. It's a real investment opportunity. Okay.
Let's come back to the present for a second. We talked about a bunch of companies and sectors.
Yeah.
Anything else worth mentioning?
Yeah, there are a couple more. In construction, Beacon Roofing is getting a lot of attention. They got a takeover offer from QXO. And QXO is offering a lot more than the current stock price, which means they really believe in Beacon Roofing's future.
So they think it's a good deal.
They do, and so do some investors. Mergers and acquisitions can be great opportunities.
Yeah.
But you got to understand why they're happening.
Right. What else?
Idorsia, they make treatments for sleep disorders. They had a setback with their insomnia drug, Quvic.
What happened?
The European Medicines Agency, they had some safety concerns, so it's probably not getting approved in Europe anytime soon.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
It does. Developing drugs is a long and expensive process.
Yeah.
And then you get these regulatory hurdles. It's a risky business.
For sure. And we can't forget about the global situation either, right?
Right. What's happening in the world has a big impact on investments, trade wars, political instability, even natural disasters, you know?
Yeah.
You got to stay informed about those things.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It is. But sometimes it's good to go back to basics.
What do you mean?
Well, when things are uncertain, remember the fundamentals of investing. Diversify your portfolio, think long-term, and don't freak out when the market dips.
That's good advice. Easy to get caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
But remembering those things can help us stay focused on the long game.
Exactly. Stay calm, have a plan, and you'll be all right.
So it's all about navigating this complex world with a clear head.
Yeah.
Do you have any other tips for our listeners?
Always keep learning. The financial world is always changing, so you got to keep up.
So it's not just about picking the right stocks or timing the market.
No, it's about being a student of finance.
Okay.
Always learning, always adapting.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Yeah, get different perspectives. Don't just rely on one source of information. Read a lot, listen to different experts, and then form your own opinion.
So challenge your assumptions.
Yeah, and look for information that might disagree with what you already think. That's how you grow.
Right. Become a better investor.
And remember, investing isn't just about numbers. It's about understanding the world and making decisions that match your values.
Yeah, connecting the financial world to the real world.
Exactly. And using your money to build a better future for yourself and for everyone else.
Well said. So we've covered a lot today. Market trends, crypto, sector highlights, the works. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. So much to think about. We've seen all these market trends, crypto's been wild, and there's always that chance of a correction. It can feel overwhelming, honestly. But I want to leave our listeners with this. How can they thrive as investors in this crazy world? What steps can they actually take?
It's a great question. We've talked about a lot of things, right? Diversification, understanding the market, staying informed. But there's also a way of thinking that's super important.
Like the right attitude.
Exactly. It starts with having a growth mindset. Things change so fast in finance.
Oh, yeah.
So the best investors are the ones who can adapt, who are curious, who want to keep learning. Don't be afraid to challenge what you think you know, question things, and look for new info that might change your mind.
So being open to change.
Yeah. And see those challenges as opportunities, not roadblocks.
I like that.
Be proactive, get the knowledge, and you'll make better decisions.
Absolutely. And what about, like, being skeptical? There's so much information out there.
Totally. Don't just believe everything you hear.
Right.
Question those sources, think about their biases, and do your own research.
Become a critical thinker.
Exactly. And watch out for those get-rich-quick schemes.
Oh, yeah. Those are everywhere.
Investing is a long game. Focus on the long term, build a portfolio that you're comfortable with, and don't panic when things get bumpy.
It's about sticking to your plan.
Exactly. Discipline is key. And remember, investing should help you reach your goals.
Yeah, it's a tool.
It shouldn't just be about making money. It should be about your values, what you want for the future. Saving for retirement, your kids' education, supporting causes you care about. Investing can help you do all of that.
It's about making a positive impact.
Exactly. For yourself and for the world.
That's a great way to put it. So, as we wrap up, here's what I want everyone to remember. Embrace the challenges, be open to learning, and use your financial journey to make a difference.
I love that. And remember, there's always something new to learn in the world of investing.
Stay curious.
Stay informed and keep growing as an investor.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the market. We hope you feel more confident and ready to invest with purpose. Until next time, happy investing.